worth it when you're down and feeling deserted. Simple kind of feelings, they mean nothing when everything is fleeting. And all the things we think matter, they're disguised by all the world's chatter. And if you think you'd like to, I won't mind if you say no if you're inclined to. A compass with no turning point, a map with no sense of direction, GPS that somehow lost its voice, float around in midair, no suspension. I am trying to find my way, but I can't tell darkness from day. Nervous, feeling worthless. It feels heavy on your back, but it won't surface. Tender, wanting to surrender, yet you quickly press undo, return to sender. Hold me tighter. I don't want you to let go or I might falter. And keep me closer. All these things I wanna say, they don't sound kosher. A compass with no turning point, a map with no sense of direction, GPS that somehow lost its voice, float around in midair, no suspension. I'm trying to find my way.
Good morning, guys. Welcome to a day in my life. I'm currently heading towards my bus stop. It is 6:40 and I'm on my way to work. Unfortunately, I can't film much in there, but as soon as I come back, we'll have a little talk about my work experience.
Compass with no turning point, a map with no sense of direction, GPS that somehow lost its voice, float around in midair, no suspension. I'm trying to find my way.
Alright guys, I'm about to go in and I will catch up with you whenever I can.
A compass with no turning point, a map with no sense of direction, GPS that somehow lost its voice, float around in midair, no suspension. I'm trying to find my way, but I can't tell darkness from day.
Alright guys, we are back, so let's talk about work experience, shall we? If you're applying to study medicine or any medical or healthcare related programs, you will know that the majority of these programs will emphasize the necessity of having some relevant work experience to ensure a successful application. Ideally, as part of the work experience, applicants should partake in activities or projects or even events that would allow them to experience a context that closely resembles the kind of context they would be expected to work in or to be around as part of their desired career. The reason for this being that those applying to such programs are expected to have a good understanding of what their life would probably look like if they happened to pursue the career path that they desire or that they are applying for. And that's where the need for relevant work experience comes in. And if you're applying to medicine or hoping to do so in the near future, you might be familiar with some of the most popular kind of experience you could partake in. By this, I'm talking about volunteering in hospitals or even at your nearest GP practice, or working as a healthcare assistant, or even, getting a job at a care home. And also things like shadowing doctors, nurses, or caregivers, although not being hands-on, are still considered as very valuable work experience. Now, one thing that is also true, and even more so now than it was before because of the pandemic and its effects, is that it is not always easy to find some good hands-on work experience. For instance, I remember that when I was trying to volunteer at hospitals or GP practices, it was really hard for me to find an opportunity because they are still trying to limit unnecessary contact with patients, making it difficult for volunteers to find good opportunities. And not only that, but some people may also be luckier than others because they have maybe doctors or nurses or caregivers in their families or in their close circles who can easily help them to find an opportunity, while some are not as lucky. And I learned that in the case of the unlucky people who may not know any caregivers or doctors or nurses, that is where the importance of transferable skills comes in. And that just means that although you may not have experience in the more popular settings such as hospitals and GP practices and things like that, you could still have some valuable work experience from anything that you've done that would help you to develop and gain some skills that would be applicable and necessary for your career as a doctor. For instance, I know that a lot of the work experience that I have and that I will be presenting in my application will come from the transferable skills that I have gained from other experiences, because I haven't had a lot of work experience from a hospital or clinical setting. So just to tell you a bit about my work experience, I am someone who unfortunately began to work on that part later than I should have, because it just took me some time to really understand what I needed as part of my application to medicine, and later to really understand what I could do for my work experience. And so I began to really seriously look into my work experience earlier this year. And if you ask anyone, they would tell you that when it comes to work experience, it's much better to get it over with sooner rather than later, because it's not just something that you do to tick it off of your list, but it's a very important part in the process of figuring out whether medicine is really what you want to go through with. So with my experience, first I tried a few internships with my university. I first applied for a 3-week teaching internship for STEM students, where I would be teaching students about a subject of choice, and I think I wanted to teach them about cancer because at that time that was the interesting thing that we were learning. But unfortunately I did not get accepted to that internship, and then I applied to 2 programs. So one was a life science program and the other one was an aspiring nurse program. And I got accepted to both programs, but because the dates clashed, I had to choose one, and I decided to go with the aspiring nurse internship because the things that I would be learning from it would be closer to what I want to do than what I would be doing during the life science program, which was more laboratory focused. And so I chose the aspiring nurse internship, and this was a 4-week long internship where we had nurses coming to talk to us about the reality of their day-to-day lives. And this experience included a placement at a care home where we had the opportunity to shadow caregivers for a few days. So that happened in May, and it was the very first relevant work experience that I had. And so after that internship, I tried to apply for more experiences, and that's when I tried to find some volunteering experience with hospitals and GP practices, but unfortunately that was not successful. However, I was lucky enough to speak with someone who suggested that I should apply to care homes. And although I didn't have any previous hands-on experience working in care homes, that option was still good because I had my shadowing experience that I could use in my application to those roles. And so that's what I decided to do. I sent my CV to at least 5 care homes. Now, you may be wondering, well, how then did you end up in your job as a nursery assistant? Well, I said that I applied to at least 5 nurse assistant positions, but it turns out that one of those positions was for a nursery assistant job. But your girl didn't realize until I was accepted for the position. And you may be wondering, so why then did you accept to work as a nursery assistant in the end? And the good thing about this role is that working as a nursery assistant is an experience that would help me to further develop some transferable skills that would be useful to me as an aspiring medical student. I personally think that there are so many things that you can learn from working with children that you don't necessarily learn when you work with adults. And not only that, but I also think that this opportunity will be a good way for me to diversify my experience, which is always a good thing, and which of course also looks good on your application. But I also got accepted for a position at a care home, and just like the nursery assistant job, this one is a job where I am free to pick the days that I want to work, so that gives me the possibility to balance both jobs. And although I did get accepted to them fairly recently, I do hope that they will help me to gain both in transferable skills and in perspective, which of course will be very useful for my application to medicine. So if there's a lesson that you can take from this story, is please be careful when you're applying for work experience. But again, I'm just really excited that I have these opportunities, because at some point I really thought that I would not gain any experience that would help me for my application. But with these two experiences and my previous internship, I really do think that I am well on my way for a pretty solid application. So that's it for this video about my work experience. Maybe I'll get to do another video that is a bit more detailed when it comes to work experience. But until then, that is all. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.